I did everything they told me to do. I went to school, showed up every day, paid attention, got decent grades, got a job, worked hard, like really genuinely hard. The kind of hard where you're the first one in and the last one out. The kind of hard where you skip lunch because there's too much to do. The kind of hard where you fall asleep thinking about work and wake up already stressed about it. And you know what I had to show for it at the end of every single month? Just enough. Just enough to pay the bills. Just enough to do it all over again. Just enough to survive, but never quite enough to actually get ahead. And I kept thinking, I must be doing something wrong. Or maybe I just need to work even harder. Maybe I need a second job. Maybe I need to cut back more. Maybe next month will finally be different. It wasn't different. Nobody ever told me, and I mean nobody, that working hard and building wealth are actually two completely different things. Not the same thing. Not even close to the same thing. And the day I finally figured that out, everything changed. My name is Mo. And this, right here, is where my story begins. Let me ask you something. Think back to school for a second. Every subject they made you study, math, science, history, English, PE. They even made us do PE. 12 years of education, hundreds of tests, thousands of hours sitting in those chairs. Not one class on money, not one class on how a paycheck actually works, not one class on what taxes are or why they take so much of it. Not one class on credit cards or debt or interest rates. Not one class on saving or investing or what any of that even means. Not one class on why some people seem to always have money and other people, people who work just as hard, maybe harder, always seem to be chasing it. Nothing. They taught us how to get a job. They never once taught us what to do with the money from that job. And here's what gets me. That's not an accident. Managing money is a skill. Building wealth is a skill. These are things that can absolutely be taught. Other countries teach this stuff in school, but somewhere along the way, someone decided that wasn't important enough to put in the curriculum. And so most of us showed up to real life completely unprepared for one of the most important things we'd ever have to figure out. So what did we do? We did what we were taught to do. We worked harder. Every time money got tight, work harder. Every time the bills piled up, work harder. Every time it felt like we were falling behind, work harder. That was the only tool we had. Because it was the only tool anybody ever gave us. And I'm not saying hard work doesn't matter. It does. But I was about to learn that hard work alone has a ceiling, and I was bumping my head against it every single month without even knowing it. So here's where things started to shift for me. I started paying attention to the people around me. Not in a weird way, just noticing. Looking at who seemed to have money and who didn't. And something started bothering me, because the people I knew who were genuinely doing well financially, a lot of them weren't working harder than me. Some of them were working what looked like way less than me. They weren't smarter than me. They didn't have some magic degree or some special connection. So what was the difference? I started asking questions. Not out loud at first, just in my head. What do they know that I don't? What are they doing with their money that I'm not? Why does it feel like they're playing a completely different game? And then one day it hit me. They were. They were literally playing a different game. While I was showing up every day, trading my hours for dollars, they had figured out how to make their money show up for them. Their money was working while they slept, while they ate, while they took their kids to school, while they did absolutely nothing. Their money had a job. Mine was just sitting there. Or worse, it was already spent before it even landed in my account. I want you to really sit with that for a second, because this was the moment everything started to make sense for me. The people who always seem to have money aren't necessarily working harder. They've just built something that works for them, whether they show up or not. And I had never even considered that was possible, because nobody ever told me that was an option. That's what this whole channel is about. Not some get-rich-quick thing, not some magic formula. Just what is actually going on with money that nobody ever sat us down and explained? Because once you start to see it, you genuinely cannot unsee it. Okay, so here's the thing I wish someone had explained to me years ago. I'm gonna say it as simply as I possibly can. There are two things that people talk about like they're the same thing. They are not the same thing. Income and wealth. Income is the money you earn. Wealth is the money that earns for you. Read that again if you need to, because that one sentence is worth more than anything I learned in 12 years of school. When you go to work, that's income. You show up, you do the thing, you get paid. But the second you stop showing up, the income stops too. Your time has a limit. Income has a ceiling, and most of us are already bumping into it. Wealth is different. Wealth is when you own something that generates money on its own, an investment that grows, a rental property, a business that runs without you. Assets. And assets are what wealthy people have that most of us don't. I had been working for years. Income, sure. But assets, things that worked for me while I slept, zero. Not one single thing. I had been playing the game on hard mode without even knowing there was an easier setting. Nobody told me this was the game. Nobody said, at some point you need to stop just earning money and start building things that earn money for you. Now you know. And the question isn't how do I work harder? The question is, how do I start building something that works for me? And that is exactly what Mo is about to go find out. So here's where we are. We now know the difference between income and wealth. We know that most of us were only ever taught how to earn income. And we know that the people who get ahead aren't necessarily working harder. They're building assets. But here's the question that kept me up at night after I figured all this out. Okay, Mo, great. Assets, wealth, money that works while you sleep. Sounds amazing. But I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I've got bills, I've got rent, I've got real life happening every single month. How am I supposed to start building wealth when there's nothing left over at the end of the month to build with? That is the exact question Mo is going to answer next. And the answer is not what you think. In fact, the first step has nothing to do with money at all. Stick around and click the next video on your screen. Because where Mo goes next, you're not going to want to miss it.